Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another exciting episode of the Shadow Geek and stuff. I don't really think I have a general topic for a title for this yet. Do we have a title? It's not a podcast. It's not podcasted.
This is God.
This is Shadow and the Geeks.
Oh, that's cute.
Anyways, joining me as always is the lovely Lana.
Hi.
And Dominic.
Hey guys.
Nico Freako, everybody.
Gosh.
You know it's me when you hear that unenthusiastic voice on the microphone.
It's so unenthusiastic.
And yet you love it.
Speaking of love, great segue, thank you. Unscripted. So speaking of love, this is one thing that this is why I brought up this topic in general, is because I do I'm 28, I'm single.
Ooh.
Check it
Ladies.
out. Ladies. And it's with the online dating world and whatnot, most people I'm honest on those sites, right? I tell people, I'm just like, hey, kind of nerdy. I like comic books. I like video games, but at the same time, that doesn't define me. So, my general question is like, what does being a nerd, what does that do to people's dating lives?
Well, I want to follow that up. I want to preface that real quick with
Okay.
How successful are you on these dating sites, given that you're providing all this nerdy information up front?
I mean, I've had a couple dates.
So does this include the profile pic of you with the Iron Man mask on, or without?
Definitely without.
Okay. Okay.
Definitely
so that's
without.
an important establishment. I think we need to get that out of the way.
Okay, thank you.
But no, I think you've got a good point. I think that societal norms don't apply to that niche. I think there's a very different way about going about it, but I'm not exactly sure, what the norm might be established as in that kind of a situation.
I mean, it's just like the term nerd, the connotation for nerd has changed over the years. Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like when you think back to like the 80s, hell, even the 90s,
Yes.
you think of nerds like Steve Urkel, right?
More like academic.
Exactly. Yeah,
to...
like he social norms are off, social cues are off. The glasses, the pants, everything. Like, great movie Revenge of the Nerds is something to relate back to. That movie was pretty much the definition of nerds at one point. And so now here we are, 2015. Our generation has taken the word nerd and they've made it cool.
Hipster.
Yeah, it's a cool thing, like you get these girls who put on these glasses and they're like, I'm a nerd, and then everyone's drooling over them. Like nerd is not, it's no longer an offensive thing to people, But at the same time, for quote unquote nerds nowadays, yeah, it's not offensive. It's no longer something for the most part that we can make fun of. But at the same time, in terms of dating, like, do you classify yourself as a nerd or not? Do these people still think as a nerd as a geeky person? It's like, and you tell me, like, if you were on a dating website and if somebody was saying to you, oh, I'm a nerd, I like comic books, I like video games, like, what's the first thing that pops in your mind?
The first thing that would pop into my mind is your bedroom when I first met you.
Okay, I'm not talking about me.
No, that's exactly what I think of. I think of Sonic all over the walls. I think of figurines. I think of stuffed animals. Yeah, that's what I think
You're giving out
of.
way too much information.
Well, no one knows how long we've known each other.
Okay,
But unique.
but still, either way, it's like, yeah, I mean, but is that like, I mean, that's your general idea of a nerd.
But is that like a turn off?
Is that a turn off?
Like, is that something
okay.
that's going to drive you away, just knowing that that's sort of their field of interest?
I think it's cool because it's kind of like a hobby. So it's like, oh, like your hobby's like comic books. So you can appreciate a good storyline and, development and analysis. Like, okay, like that's kind of cool. No, I don't necessarily think it would be a a turn off. I would be hesitant, like, ooh, like, you know.
Okay, but like,
okay, well, what is there to be hesitant about? Like,
it's
what
are we all gonna like? Is that all we're gonna talk about? Is that like what identifies him as?
but see, it's like on my profile page, and I even say this. I think I said this on like my Instagram. I was just like, yeah, I'm a nerd, but I still like to like. I felt like I had to say, I still do adult things, and I still get my shit taken care of. Mm-hmm. Just so people are just like, oh my god.
Then yeah, if I had that assurance afterwards, then I'd be like, okay, he knows.
But it's like, it's like, do I necessarily have to do that?
Yeah, you know, I mean, do we,
I would keep scrolling.
Well, do we automatically associate nerd with irresponsible?
Not so much. I don't think people.
I think that's
or
kind
it's just immature.
It's immature, is what I think people associate it with, because you know you grow up and you know for the most part you see kids who enjoy. I mean, you look at comic books and stuff like that. It's a childish thing. It's cartoons. Cartoons are always established with children. You look at video games. It's always established with children. Superhero, the fantasy stuff, it's just always associated with children. So yeah, a lot of people will look at someone who says they're a nerd and they're like, oh my gosh, he's immature, you know? But it's like, for some people don't think that I'm immature. I have to say I'm a nerd because that is who I am and I'm proud of it. But at the same time, I get my shit taken care of because I'm not like your cliche nerd, you know? Like, yeah, I love...
live in your mom's basement. Video games
let's not offend people.
Well,
if we're talking classic nerd stereotype, especially one that's reminiscent of the immature status, like that is your go-to, the basement nerd.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think the definition of nerd has definitely evolved over the years. Going back to your Urkel reference, I mean, it doesn't necessarily mean that he was nerdy, but he was never irresponsible. Like, if anything, he was too responsible. Like, it was more so
shenanigans.
Well, yeah, but who doesn't? Like, I mean, can we all say that we're exempt from shenanigans? No, but that's regardless of what kind of interests we share. There's always going to be shenanigans, and you can't just like single it out. But I think that that sort of community has been expanding into, yes, it was primarily seen as, I guess, a juvenile type thing or an adolescent sort of hobby. But, I mean, looking at the demographics now, we have a huge following of gamers, both male and female, that are in their, 20s, 30s. And that is really starting to drive the industry as well. So is it fair to assume that the term nerd refers to an immature person as opposed to just being a hobby? It's
not fair to assume that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, realistically, you shouldn't make judgments on anybody.
No.
But I mean, that is just something that our society has grown to acknowledge as a nerd.
Well, I think that we've definitely made strides, though. I don't think a nerd is as seen down upon as much as it used to be.
That strive has only been made within the nerd community, though. The outsider looking in, you still say nerd, and they're kind of like, you're immature. But yeah, within within our group, it's completely different.
Yeah.
I have a bunch of friends who actually follow the same stuff, video games, the comic book stuff and whatnot, but they don't refer to themselves as nerds.
Mm.
And just saying, these people are married. Just saying.
So then, do they say it's a hobby or a passion or what?
I don't even think they refer to it as a hobby. I mean, it's just
something that they enjoy.
It's just something that they generally enjoy. My friend Jordan, who just recently got married, he's one of those people that I know. Like, I can talk to him about anything nerdy.
But he won't ever self-classify.
He wouldn't self-classify himself as a nerd. He would never self-classify himself as a nerd. And I've known him for years, and he's never once said, "Oh yeah, I'm a nerd." No, he's never said that.
No, it's just his genuine interest.
Yeah, exactly. And it's granted he does enjoy other things. He was at one point we classified ourselves as band geeks because we were, and he's a pretty good musician. He's a great musician actually, and. We still refer to ourselves as band geeks and whatnot, but that's completely different from a nerd, you know,
that's a whole new topic. What's the difference between a geek and a nerd?
Well, no, you stick band geek on there, then I can tell you the difference. You know, I can tell you the difference between those two. But I mean, yeah, you're right. Geek is not something that we typically use, and here I am with the Dave the Shadow Geek.
Yep.
But like, geek is not something like people don't typically use geek anymore.
Mm-mm.
You don't hear that anymore.
No, you don't.
No, there's no real connotation for it now.
Oh, she's really geeky.
The closest thing was Geek Squad, but they made it relevant. If
Exactly.
anything.
Nobody even thinks of it as an offensive connotation.
No,
You know?
not anymore. Not like it used to be, apparently.
Yeah.
But even throughout my lifetime, I've never heard that in a really derogatory kind of a way.
Yeah.
Just had no place. But, I mean, back onto the topic of love and this whole thing. So, I guess we have to ask the question, like, does liking comics and liking video games make you nerdy? Or is it you choosing to classify yourself as nerdy that makes you nerdy? Because, I mean, like you said, the people that you know that are married that still share the same interests as you but don't classify themselves as nerds are leading successful relationships.
I mean, I guess it's based off of the...
Is it a first impression kind of a thing?
I want to say it's based off the level of interest, you know?
Yeah.
How deep you are into it, you know?
Then you want to be identified and like a part of it.
You want to be a part of that culture. You want to be identified as part of that culture.
Okay.
You know, like it's, back to Jordan again, he does enjoy video games. He does enjoy the comic stuff as well. At the same time, he really likes, you know, being a musician.
Mm.
He enjoys sports a lot. Now, granted, most guys who are in this field don't enjoy sports as much.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, there is a small handful of us who do enjoy sports. But for the most part, you know, their sport is like Call of Duty, you know,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
you know, Street Fighter, stuff like that. There's nothing wrong with that, but
No.
it's not technically classified as a sport just yet, with the exception of what
The esports.
esports, yeah. Which
Yeah,
is taking
which
off,
is cool.
but yeah,
Yeah.
it's definitely taken off. But still, I mean, like you said, you know, coming back to the topic here, it's like most girls just don't find it to be attractive, in my personal opinion.
Yeah, I can definitely see it as being like a warning sign almost.
Yeah.
I think it's just about having a balance in that case. Because like you said, they have balance. They not only like those things, but they like recreational activities as well that can include other people, which might not be as, I guess, like shut off sort of things that are non-inclusive to the other person, which I can see, you know, being classified as a nerd and having all those kind of one-sided hobbies could do. But, I mean, I think we can talk, like, philosophy about what you can classify yourself as and what can't you to ensure, like, your best shot at a relationship while still enjoying these hobbies. But what about, like, I guess if you're going to date someone who has this sort of interests, like, what changes about the relationship? What dynamic differences do we have to expect from someone who enjoys this particular set of hobbies as opposed to, I guess, what your run-of-the-mill average Joe would?
You laughed. What is it? I mean, I feel like it's kind of obvious. But
Well, yeah.
I think it's pretty obvious,
yeah.
but...
Yeah, that's 100%. It's totally different dating someone who's more into video games and, you know, that kind of stuff rather than being outdoors and playing sports and doing things that, you know, are a lot more physically active. It's definitely a transition. I mean, I feel like it's almost being with someone who's there but also distant at the same time because, you know, being on the phone or, you know, playing the computer, it's just they're gone in their completely own world. And I don't know, it's really weird being next to someone that's just so far away, but yet you can still snap them out at any time.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely is a dedication, like, in my past relationships, you know. I would literally, like, I'm zoned out, you know. When you're into these games, you are into these games, you know. It's such an easy escape. And there was either she would sit there and watch, or she's just like, you need to turn that off. Mm-hmm. I'm kind of like, well, you knew who I was. when you dated me, you know, it's just like, this is just what it is.
You know what? Speaking of that, though, I think it's kind of a learning experience because I'm really into movies. I'm into TV. I love watching different shows, blah, 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 blah. Whereas, you know, someone who wants to be playing video games, you know, wants to be, like, stimulated a little bit more. And, you know, it's like one person can, like, I've played video games and I've learned how to play a few games. And, you know, it's fun, but at the same time, for me, it's like working all day. I don't want to come home and still be that engaged. I want to be able to relax and, you know, admire something without, you know, having to...
But, I mean, from their perspective, that's what they're doing.
Exactly.
They're relaxing.
That's my point.
You know, they're relaxing. They're admiring something. It's, for a lot of gamers, playing these games is an escape. You know,
which is the same for like a TV
of course,
person.
yeah. But it's like it's definitely more engaging because you literally become these characters. Now, in a movie, you can't necessarily become that character,
right?
You know, you're watching other people, but like in the video games, you're just getting lost, and so then it's relatively easy for girls to think of someone who says they're into games, and they're just kind of like, let me take a couple steps back. Like, is this guy going to give me his full attention?
Right, yeah.
Or is he going to be into this?
Yep.
You know?
But at the same time, I mean, anybody who has that sort of hobby, especially one that's kind of used as an escape or as a relaxation method, yeah, it's going to take away. That's the whole point. You know, it's just a matter of either being taken away at the same time or understanding that, you know, when this is happening, you can't really expect anything else.
Which is fine, because it's like, that's my TV time. Like, okay, video games is you, TV is me, or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. But if it's like, you know, you're engaging in wanting to have a conversation and actually spend time together, maybe doing something productive or, you know, just having a shared time together as opposed to being present with each other but still doing your own things, there has to be, I think, like a line. Like, yeah, we're going to do something together versus we're going to be together and then each do our own things.
But then let's switch this up real quick. Let's just say, I mean, she is into games. He or she, they are into games. Like, how rare... I mean, the nerd community is the ratio of men versus women is extremely, you know,
right.
There's
one-sided,
yeah, it's very, very one-sided. So it's like on the off chance that, and I've seen a few couples who are like this, but you know, what are the different dynamics when you know, some guy just so happens to get lucky to find that girl? You know, like how much different do you think that is?
When nerd meets nerd?
When a nerd meets a nerd.
Same type of nerd.
Well, meets a woman. We'll save that for later.
Oh yeah, we're gonna caption that right at the end. We'll harmonize. Well, I think it's just the same as if a movie buff meets a movie buff. You know, they have that shared interest. Huh?
I said that.
I don't remember that.
Híjole. Anyway.
No, it's exactly the same concept. So, yeah, it's a shared interest. It doesn't mean that if they didn't share that interest, they wouldn't get along. It's just something like a hobby that they have that is already established that they can share automatically.
That's great.
But can we agree that is a very, very rare?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But that's in any sense of the word, too. Like, you don't find that throughout every relationship. It's not like a common thing. It's just people have certain things in common. People have things that they don't have in common, and there's a balance to that mixture that is a reason why we're attracted to other people.
But still, like, I mean, you understand what I'm saying? Like, where it's just like, you know, like for instance, I have a friend who, well, I have plenty of friends, like female girls who are into video games and whatnot, and so when you're laughing because I said female girls.
Yeah. I was like, girls are female.
I have a lot of girls.
Yeah.
I know a lot of girls who are into video games.
Oh,
right?
I thought you were going to say females.
A lot of girls are into video games. And so what happens is whenever they hop on, you know, games, sites, forums, and whatnot, neckbeards, you know, other male nerds, they're hopping on like fly to a piece of shit.
Ew.
Right?
Can you say like flies to honey?
Flies don't like honey.
I don't know. What likes honey?
Ants to honey.
Okay, that sounds good.
Okay. But, like, a lot of the girls are just kind of like, they're being harassed all the time by these guys. Because, like you said, like, it's very one-sided, the ratio of guys versus girls who are into this stuff, you know? So, that's just a fun fact to just keep in the back of your mind. It's typically hard for guys who establish themselves as nerds to find somebody with, like, interests. They'll be lucky if they find somebody who tolerates their interest.
Yeah, absolutely.
They'll be very lucky if that happens, you know? So, I just bringing it back to the main point here, it's just like, I put nerd on my site, but I feel like that scares people away. I'm an attractive guy.
Yeah, you are. Can't deny it.
And I
wish I could.
I have a pretty good looking resume, you know? So it's just like, so it's just like...
You put your resume on your OkCupid phone?
I'm just saying. Like,
is that how you got that job?
Just saying. But it's just like, sometimes I just wonder, like, do I need to say, hey, I'm a nerd?
But not that kind of a nerd.
Yeah, exactly. Because I do it, you know? I'm just like, I'm a nerd, but...
Is that what you lead with?
Because that is a big part of my life. But no, it's not necessarily what I lead with.
Okay, then I was.
But it's in there.
That's a punch in the face.
I mean, does it seem pretentious to be like, I'm not a nerd, but I really like comic books and video games and animated cartoons?
I mean, I like people to know that's something that I'm interested in.
Is that something that you
Because I feel like if
with?
that's the first thing you say, then that's kind of like, take it or leave it. This is what I am.
But it is. That's literally what it is. It is a take it or leave it kind of thing.
Well, duh.
Because, granted, you're right. Like, at one point in my life, my room was filled with shit that looked like it belonged to a 6-year-old.
But now
it's not like the case. I took it down because
it's a completely adult.
Because I realized girls don't want to have sex with me while they're looking dead in the eye at Sonic the Hedgehog. So I took it down.
Weird. I'll never understand that.
I took it down from above my bed because, like, even for me, I wake up, good morning, Sonic. It was weird. It was weird, you know. So I took it down for a more mature look.
Mature.
But that didn't tarnish your interest in it at all.
No,
not at all. I mean, granted, slightly off topic, but he hasn't made a great video game in a while, but I'm still thoroughly interested in in the topic, or in the character, but I don't feel the need to
display that.
Just a little blurb from my profile. It says, I did open with it. So it says, just to be clear, I enjoy comics, cartoons, and video games, but that does not make me immature or a nerd. I am very mature and comfortable with myself, and I see nothing wrong with being youthful.
We need a playback of when you said, I'm a nerd and I'm proud.
If any of those hobbies are a turn off for you, then I am sad to see you go.
Jeez. That's really like...
So take it or leave it. He knows who he is, and he don't got time for people who want to change him.
But I'm just saying, like, I'm saying, like, I'm not immature. I'm still proud of it, but...
And I hear it in your voice. But can I tell you how I read it?
Yeah,
no. Can I have it so I can read that?
I don't want you to read the whole profile.
I'm just going to read that.
Don't read the messages.
Just to be clear, I enjoy comics, cartoons, and video games, but that does not make me immature or a nerd, I am very mature and comfortable with myself, and I see nothing wrong with being youthful. Hard period. If any of those hobbies are a turn-on for you, then I'm sad to see you go. Sarcastic ass.
Okay, well...
I feel like you're just an angry person.
Yeah, you sound angry,
what it sounds
but
like.
First of all, you know me. Yeah, I'm sarcastic. Yeah. I'm very I'm sardonic. I'm definitely I'm not sarcastic. I'm sardonic.
He's something else that starts with an S.
I'm satanic.
Yeah, there we
go. but like, it is something that, I've had an issue with, where they're just kind of like, I say I like these things, and they're like, oh, you do? I don't like those things. So it's like, I have to put it out there. I'm letting you know that, yes, I like these things. I am a great guy.
Yeah, he is.
Thank you.
Is that what you identify yourself as, though? Because leading with it is what it makes it seem like.
Yeah, I'm a nerd. I'm a part of the huge nerd network. I'm a nerd.
It's gonna be in the outro.
I mean, I'm a nerd. Like, I do identify myself with that. But like I said, like,
it's just really aggressive.
I don't think it's to be mean. I just think that like it kind of puts it out as he's very confident in who he is and what he likes and the things that he enjoys. And he's not looking for someone to come in and change that. He's looking for someone to come in and accept that and that can live with that and has their own set of things. Like there are plenty of people who there's men who have these hobbies but are malleable. And there's plenty of women who see that in them and work to work on that. And they can kind of change them a little bit by a little bit to what they want them to be. And it's not like saying that every person does that, but there are those people. There are people who look for projects. There are people that look for the best in people that they're going to work and change over time. And this is just, it's not one of the cases. You know, this is someone who knows who he is and the things that he enjoys. And it's laying that out. It's letting you know right up front. And so if you're looking for a project, this is not what you're looking for.
I think that's a very open perspective that would probably cross my mind by the third time I scrolled back down on their picture.
So you're looking for a project.
No, not even in that sense. But it's kind of like, read the first one, like, wow, like, okay, that's kind of... That's just, I don't know, it's off-putting. And then I would probably go back up and be like, well, you know what, that's, you know, all right. Like, you know, he said it how it was. He, you know, kept it 100. And then I'd be scrolling back down and like, well, you know, he did say he had his shit together. So, like, that, you know, that would be an open-minded person going up and down. But initially, it's kind of like, whoa, okay, that's coming pretty strong.
Well, I guess it depends on your perspective as well. Yeah. You know, it depends on what you're looking for in a person and as a person. You know, if you go into it, just be like, I don't need to deal with someone who's got all this baggage and just stuff like that. And she just sees, oh, this guy lays it out. This is who he is. Like, I don't have to ask any questions. Like, as long as, you know, this matches up to what he says, then we're freaking golden.
Exactly.
Versus someone who's like, I don't believe it and I don't want to deal with it, then they just don't deal with it. That kind of a thing. You know, it depends on where you're coming from. But, I mean, yeah, I don't think nerd dating is going to be any less hazy than regular dating. I think there are different aspects to think about, but it's the same, like, you get the same amount of baggage, you get the same amount of issues that you would from any other relationship. It's just, it's a matter of the people that come into it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like you said, I think it's just, it's a hobby type of thing. Like, you can be, there's so many different kinds of nerds that you can be. Movie nerd, theater nerd, what did you say, band geek?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, essentially, nerd is just having a pretty specified passion, I guess. Yeah, which is another way of saying that you're passionate about a very specific set of things, interests.
I mean, that is what it is now.
Now, it's definitely evolved to that.
Yeah, that is what it is now. But at the same time, it's still something that is looked upon as a negative thing in terms of dating, in terms of anything. I mean, but more so in terms of dating. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think it's definitely on its way to being a little bit more acceptable, though.
Yeah, definitely. So,
final thoughts?
No, I think that about wraps it up.
I mean, I have a final thought.
Yeah, go ahead. Whenever you're ready.
I'm a nerd, but I'm not ordinary. My rims are my car stationary. Video games and comic books, they're so worth it. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry,
Can we just go back to when a nerd loves a woman?
Jeez.
He will probably never get her.
Oh.
She's probably animated. And on the internet.
That album is coming out soon.
Dropping in November. Check out our Christmas tracks.
Thank you for joining us again on another wonderful episode of Shadow and the Geeks. I'm your host, Rudy, joined by my other host, Lana.
Bye.
And my other host, Dominic.
Bye, guys.
Nico Frico! What up? It doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Alright, guys. Take care. Peace out.
I'm out.
Hey, what's up? It's your boy, the Shadow Geek here, aka Rudy Rudes, coming to you live from Florida. Yes, I'm in a hotel, but I'm on a business trip, so excuse the mess. Anyways, thank you guys so much for listening. Nico Frico, Lano, we all appreciate you guys' support. We'll see you guys next time.